If I may say, ladies and gentlemen, this area has supported Indigenous persons for many thousands of years. And one of their trade, it seems, has been the trade over those many thousands of years in possum skins. It was renowned, and they were used as trade items, and trade communications and trails existed throughout this nation, and we in this area, or they in this area, were connected satisfactorily. 60,000 years of occupation of this country. Would that we could come to such a balance so successfully as they have achieved. As a result of that connection, Council decided to make the possum the fauna symbol of this area. So if I say, "G'day possums," you'll understand that it's not simply a reference to another well-known Australian entertainer. To the business people here today, just a little quiet message, word in your ear. One of the biggest challenges we face in business in this nation is a federal matter, and that is of the inadequateness, the antiquity of our taxation system. I encourage you all to speak to your federal members and get some change, some simplicity back into our tax system. You in business are wasting too much time, effort and money in compliance. Complying with something that, frankly, the draftees of the legislation, the practitioners of the legislation, don't themselves fully understand. If we can get simplicity into the system, some understanding and some efficiency, this will propel your profits. And when profits are propelled, job employment improves in this nation, and we need that. We in the country, our nature, which is part of the issue of today, needs to be sorted, understood and strengthened. Country people are known for their openness. They're known for their honesty, their helpfulness, their inventiveness. These are characteristics that we need to ensure continue through the younger generations. And I'm always encouraged when I visit local regional schools in particular to see these characteristics coming through. There's a camaraderie through our student population that needs to be encouraged and continue to be one of the key characteristics of country communities. One of the challenges that they face, though, is the curse of potentially not ever owning their own home. This is coming about for a range of reasons, some of which we can be addressed in our generation. Contract work, as opposed to full-time jobs, does not fit the current financing for residential loans. If you are a young person and you have a short-term employment contract, regardless of your skills, regardless of your income, the banks don't really want to know you when it comes to taking out a 30-year loan to put a roof over your head. The system must change, or they will be doomed to being renters only. And the actual importance of owning your own home to provide stability, shelter, and a degree of certainty for raising of families is something that must be addressed. I know the state members are fully aware of this, but it's the federal members who need to be brought to task and have encouragement put on them to change this terrible malady that future generations will be facing. They are the best educated that we have ever seen in the world, and they deserve a fairer go. And frankly, I'm getting fed up with people who call upon them as motivation for achieving the point being made by saying, for the sake of our children and our grandchildren. If you're genuinely dinkum about furthering the advances of our children and our grandchildren, for goodness sake, address these core issues. In particular, our regional children are going to suffer. The ability to get employment without having to go to the city is a challenge. The ability to be able to put a roof over your head and live in regional South Australia, there's a financial difference between the cost of a house in the city and the cost of the house in the country. But in the case of Port Pirie, I'm led to believe a certain bank that I won't name, the ANZ Bank, puts a 30% impediment on home ownership by way of required deposits. Absolutely ridiculous. an insult to those of us who choose freely to live here in wonderful regional South Australia. In closing off, I think as I've tried to identify the characteristics of regional people, I think we need to identify what we need to be producing. This doesn't mean to say that we change what we're already producing, but if we can encourage characteristics of our production, characteristics such as a more bespoke nature, an individuality of product, products with character, skills with character, practitioners with character, products of longevity, desirability, and above all, authenticity. People who live in regional South Australia are fair dinkum. They are authentic. The world will be screaming out for authenticity both in product, purchase and experience tourism. I predict, ladies and gentlemen, that sameness, that volume, that made in China is already losing any desirability it may once have had. So there will be an emerging gap that we in regional South Australia can fill with our talents and our products. I encourage you all to support regional South Australia, and in return for that, we will not only be fair dinkum, we'll be good possums.